And welcome back, esports fans, to another fantastic day of the PCS. We've had our one postponed game already played, but if you are just tuning in now, well, welcome. We got one more day of the regular season left. I am, of course, Pyrotechnics. He is Clement. I would like to take a moment to thank our wonderful sponsors, CTBC Bank, China Airlines, Chunghwa Telecom, and Caliber. Thank you for making the PCS possible. Now, Clement, we kick things off here with our a really, really interesting matchup because PSG could make that perfect split happen. We're going to have to do a little bit of housekeeping before we get into that to take a look at the full schedule and everything. But, man, I'm so excited to see if PSG can pull this off.
Yeah, ever since that they had Maple back and started this year, they have gone on and won 42 wins with only one loss in the PCS so far. So if you think about that win percentage, it is pretty cray-cray. It's over 97% win percentage so far. But I will say BJD does have a say in this, and it would be the most PCS thing if there is somehow an upset today. So I'm going to keep my eyes glued to this.
It'd be such a BJD Dragons thing as well, right? Yeah, the game does matter for them. It's not just for pride. If they can win, they can try and firm up their position over Hong Kong Attitude as they're kind of neck and neck. Let's take a look at our standings as they are right now. As we mentioned, PSG are one game away from doing the previously impossible, the perfect split. Right behind them are Machi Esports and Mega Mech Beyond Gaming, who are vying for that second seed and will be able to potentially secure it today, depending on results. Boom, of course, no longer in the running for that. They're watching Taipei J-Team at their back as they've only got a win ahead and J-Team have a game in hand. BJD Dragons, Hong Kong Attitude contesting, and of course, right down there at the bottom, Impunity and Liab, only one game apart, and Liab did just beat Impunity yesterday, so things get real spicy for that last playoff seed.
And again, we are sending 8 teams into the postseason. This isn't really color-coded very well, but the gist of it is, for today, that we want to see if Liab can actually tie the score with Impunity, and if that does happen, then we will have a tiebreaker day tomorrow, where there's still, I think, 3 or 4 different tiebreakers that could still be played. We're not going to get the final results, but at least we are going to get to know if Liab get a chance or not. That's kind of the big story. And of course, who gets second place is also a massive thing because you do get a playoff bye and start in the winning side of the bracket.
Right, and of course, it's definitely worth reiterating how the tiebreakers will work. They will be played out tomorrow, and basically, if you got the same record as another team, you're going to play a tiebreaker. The head-to-head only really matters for side selection if you get that 2-0. Since there are no three-way tiebreaks possible, things get a little bit simpler. It's a little bit more straightforward now, but that's how it stands for the time being. At the top, at the bottom, even in the middle, we got some potentials for tie breaks. But for PSG, the only potential is to get the perfect split or to go 17-1 one more time. And, well, for BJD Dragons, they're going to try and play the upset of upsets, but that is no easy feat.
It definitely would be on brand for them. BJD Dragons, for me, has always been the team that you sort of count them out by default, but then they just win. And you're always kind of caught off guard there. It's been a great split for them so far. 6 wins, definitely being a little bit better than they were, in my opinion, in spring split. But looking at the schedule here, a couple of very big games. Alpha Esports versus Liab. If Alpha win, they will drag Liab down into the depths with them. You have to think that Impunity are probably the biggest Alpha fans today. On the flip side, if Impunity manage a upset over a Taipei J-Team, that does also mean that Liab can no longer catch up to them. Those 3rd and 4th games have, frankly, the most implications in terms of this playoff bracket.
Absolutely. Also worth mentioning, of course, we talked about BJD being able to firm their position up, but if they do lose to PSG Talon, well, Hong Kong Attitude could try and one-up them as well by taking out J-Team at the end of the day. J-Team, just a lot of games to play in hand, and now that they've already beaten Boom, we'll see what this team can do. Still looking to contest for that 4th seed. They can certainly force the issue with 2 victories today.
Yeah, they could definitely do so, and unfortunately for J-Team, they are going to be playing 3 straight games today, so keeping your stamina up is going to be a huge issue for them. But like you said, if they make it through all the way, they could just overtake Boom Esports, and that's something we're going to be keeping close attention to. Another matchup that's not as directly visible on this is, of course, the battle between Machi and Beyond Gaming. They are expected, both of them, to win their games today and move on to a tiebreaker tomorrow. But if one of them make a stumble, that would guarantee the other just goes ahead and secures that second spot position right behind PSG, get that playoff bye. So that's also something we're going to be updating with you. Main storyline's kind of out of the way, and now we get to chew down on the juicy PSG stories right here. This team has been absolutely amazing.
Oh, yes. You
look at their kill-death ratio. They have been killing 3 members of the enemy team, 3.3 members of the enemy team compared to every one single death. They are 94% first 3 tower rate. They lead in every single objective category across the board. So this really is kind of the team to beat in the PCS.
Yeah, and no one can do it. I mean, you know, like I know it's such a it's a bit more of a cliched stat, but I just want to emphasize, like, the KDA, the lowest KDA on this team is Maple, and it's over 7. This team does not die, and they get all the kills. Like, they're just so good at outplaying the opposition. They seem to like chaos. They can play a few control games as well, but for the most part, it's scrappy, it's fun, it's brilliant League of Legends, and you love to see it.
For sure, and I think this is one of those super teams that doesn't actually try to play everything in the meta. They are very much set in their own corner. They like to play tempo compositions. They like to play low to the ground. We've seen a lot of global comps from them, a lot of Renekton first picks. On the other hand, Brujaya, they are a much slower team. They actually don't do that well in the laning phase, but they can come back with the side lane power of Ozzy, and with Minji just doing a lot of these outplays. He really reminds me of Icon on OMG, just getting away with things over and over again on those assassins.
Yeah, you know, I really like that Minji has kind of seemed to leveled up a little bit in this split, but I do want to talk about the bottom lane. That's our featured matchup now. Unified has saved games. We all think back to that Boom Esports one on his Ziggs there in the middle, but for the most part, you know, you see the Aphelios, you see the Varus for both these players kind of coming in a little bit. K2, for his part, has been definitely more of an Ezreal player, but he's picked up a number of these other champions, and I think that, well, Unified's not going to just get up in his face and try to kill him straight out. K2 has definitely had a very respectable performance. It's just laning phase probably isn't going to matter as much as the later stages of the game for this guy.
Yeah, I think K2 is much more about team fighting, and I think laning phase, because Enzo is such a new support, they don't typically get off to great starts. However, on the other side, Unified, despite his stats, PSG actually don't focus bottom lane that much at all.
Not at
which
all.
Is kind of the weird thing. And I think it's the reason that makes PSG so overpowered is that you can leave Unified alone in lane. He's going to be absolutely fine and still give you stats that look absolutely monstrous. And that's kind of the foundation of PSG's roaming game and their 3-man hit squad between Maple, River, and Kaiwing is that Unified is absolutely fine, just 1v2.
Yeah, I mean, he'll just play the Aphelios and just sit under tower and be completely untouchable. He's just got that good of mechanics. We'll kick off our picks and bans. PSG are going to actually opt to ban the Draven. K2 has played it, and it did not win, but clearly they don't feel like dealing with it.
I really like the bans from PSG here. I think they're giving a lot of respect to Brujaya and just saying that, you know, if you look back in the past where PSG actually had trouble in the PCS, it has been because of those bot lane dives, where the bottom lane has a very strong AD carry. They're able to push Unified in and punish him whenever Kaiwing leaves the lane. So they're taking away those champions that, in my opinion, gives K2 a lot of power to just execute on shoving and diving strategies, especially that Draven is something that Brujaya has picked in the past.
Yeah, PSG go for the early lock-in of the Lee Sin that will prompt the Varus. Thresh makes a lot of sense. It's a nice little takeaway from Kaiwing if they want to try to go for the Aphelios Thresh composition that has been kind of a bread and butter of a lot of teams here in the PCS and or PSG. I'll flash on the Ezreal. Hey, K2, you know this guy? Decent bit of Ezreal for Unified this split as well, a handful of games at least. But really a lot of focus on getting bot lane done for Brujaya. You know, who's made it through and hasn't been selected just yet is the Viego, not picked up by either team.
Yeah, that's a big missing piece. Also, Gwen is another one that I feel like is oddly missing. Brujaya are very reliant on Ozzy on Gwen to get a good matchup, but since they are on red side, they do have a bit more time to wait for those counter picks. PSG also holding everything very close to the chest. They have not selected a single solo laner. Lee Sin could be a flex, but At this point, they just don't want to get countered out by Minji and Ozzy, and I do think that's where most of the laning power from Berjaya does come from, is their solo lanes can sometimes just flip the switch and get a great matchup. PSG, on the other hand, this looks like a very disengaged heavy team composition for them. So I do think that they might be going for something that is a little bit more 1-3-1 or combo based, just from the compositions that from the champions that have drafted so far. That's probably one of those two strategies coming in. And I like that Berjaya are taking away the Rumble, which I think fits really well into PSG's comp.
Yeah, also banning away the Nidalee, that's something we have seen River play on a couple of times, usually paired up with the likes of Renekton, which has been banned away by Berjaya. So we'll see if PSG continue trying to focus Ozzy on the top side. As mentioned, Gwen and Viego, both still available in this. We'll see if they make an appearance in the second round. Gwen, definitely one of the champions in the PCS that has enjoyed a incredibly high presence and win rate. I think still rocking 71%. I think that's the highest win rate of any of those really frequently picked champions, but Ozzy's certainly been contributing to that a lot. We'll see if they end up opting for it, or if they go for the counter pick last and focus Minji this time around, as should be expected. The Syndra comes in.
I did really want to see a Kiana. We've seen Cream from OMG do so well with that champion. It's just it is a pick that Minji actually has shown in Spring Split as well, but probably a little bit too much AD damage is going to go onto the Syndra instead. They have a great poke comp, and they have a lot of tempo in their end as well. Probably lacking on a little bit of lockdown. I actually find it a little bit hard to see PSG really getting destroyed by these combos. They have to be out-positioned quite heavily. PSG, on the other hand, it does look like just going for 1-3-1. This is very interesting. It's not something that they typically go for. In fact, I actually think that PSG, in terms of their macro game, split pushing is actually one of their weaker parts. They don't usually split push. Whenever they have a shove wave,
they're trying to shore it up.
Yeah. Could be going for the postseason warm-up by the Ornn. Would be very much in Hanabi's character.
Yeah, I think they're going to do it as it's locked in. So we do get the Lee Sin in the jungle. Last pickup. Let's see what Ozzy goes for. The Gwen's still available. Kind of feel like a broken record here, but it's just such a power pick.
Doesn't too poorly into the Ornn as well, and I feel like Hanabi's just going to be left alone in an island. I do expect the
Mordekaiser.
Yeah, there we go.
I forgot about the Mordekaiser. Ozzy's already played this to great success. All right, we got ourselves a Berjaya composition. I was going to say composition. Hard name to say, Berjaya Dragons.
For PSG, interesting comp. This one is much more scaling than we're used to. So I actually expect PSG to play very slow in the early game, and it is not something that we have seen this split at all. This is not a composition that I think PSG has gone for, and it's a very sound comp, but it also makes me worry quite a bit, because I feel like it's such a different track from what they've done before, and they're giving over a lot of early game power to the side of Berjaya, where, you know, if I'm just judging by the drafts and I'm saying, like, which game would PSG potentially lose, I would say this one.
I mean, it's always possible. They are trying something a little bit different. On the other hand, I think, you know, we've talked about how Berjaya have had trouble in the early stages of the game comparatively. They usually kind of get out of the laning phase and try to come right back into it. But also this team, I feel like this team's a little hard to analyze. They don't always conform to expectations, and that is for better or for worse. Winning games where you wouldn't think they'd be able to pull it off. So maybe this is the makings of the upset and the shutdown. It would certainly be a big windfall for Berjaya Dragons as they are trying to firm up their position, with Hong Kong Attitude currently equaling them in the wins and losses.
For sure. If Berjaya win here and Hong Kong Attitude do not secure their victory against J-Team, Berjaya will just overtake them and secure the 6th place spot. And I think this draft is actually a really decent one to do so. They don't have a lot of great scaling components, so once it gets into the late game, I do expect PSG to be able to steamroll just with the front-to-back team fight. But if you look overall and you think about the cardinal rules of drafting, they have 3 superior lanes with a better jungler early. So that's just you know, if these teams were in equal caliber in terms of their players, you do actually expect Berjaya to win out.
But yet, because of what PSG have been able to do all split long, you always have to question, We'll find out, kind of playing this one on hard mode to try and secure that 18-0. A perfect split has not been achieved in the PCS since its inception. Will PSG Talon be able to do that? Kicking things off. Ozzy already slamming down the scream against Hanabi.
Just some good laps coming in. We're going to be taking a look at the summoners here. Very standard for Conquerors to go on to Mordekaiser in the top lane. It's a pretty decent matchup for him. And we also have Hanabi starting out with a little bit of cheese here. He's actually going to go and, this is a very common trick where you get your refillable and then you wait a little bit and get your Doran's shield straight afterwards. So just your Ornn mechanics there. Very common. Keep maximum sustain in lane rather than going for the ruby crystals. And, for Ozzy's side, I do expect him to push this in and continue to just shove in Hanabi and then try to eke out advantages with Arashi also having the superior matchup versus the Lee Sin.
Wait, are you telling me that Hanabi is going to be playing weak side top lane this game?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
That never happens. Now, PSG are going to be okay with how this one shakes out to kick things off. And River going to start up top. So is Arashi. Definitely want to keep an eye on Arashi on this Xin Zhao early game. See what he's able to do to influence the lanes a little bit. Try to move them forward. Ozzy really giving as good as he's getting. Already dishing out damage on Hanabi. A big old obliterate comes through, but pop those potions.
Yeah, Hanabi definitely overstayed that trade. I'm not sure if he actually got the full EXP there. Oh, he actually missed the forward minions. So that is going to hurt. No. Ozzy's actually going to get a straight level 2 edge over him, forcing him out away from even just the melee minions. This is pretty ugly, just straight up. And, we do expect this out of Mordekaiser. And a pretty interesting start from Ozzy. Did not actually start with the, I think he started with the full there just to get extra damage and the auto attacks. And that's going to straight up be
the damage. But Minji, he's in some trouble himself. Oh, he limps away. Had to burn the flash. PSG, early play from River with that level 3 gank in the mid lane. But that's 2 flashes for 1.
Yeah, Minji doesn't actually get out that poorly, and that's kind of the Minji special, where he just is able to escape from everything. It was a bit of a mistake for Maple. Actually didn't get the range on the abduct afterwards on the flash. Minji didn't really do anything there. He just got stunned up, but the abilities didn't land, and he was able to get his potions going. So we could see a bit of a repeat gank coming in from both sides now.
River actually gets spotted on the rush ward that gets replaced as him and Arashi just kind of pass like ships in the night. Arashi getting scuttle priority. We'll be able to secure that one up. And Ozzy, when you're a little bit ahead in lane, this is something you can do. You can grab scuttle yourself, or, well, he doesn't go all the way for it. A little bit deep in there. You're going to let that hand off to Arashi.
That's some nice play coming in. Very well timed. He doesn't let the scuttle reset here. And Hanabi is in a very rough spot at this point. His wave is going to be shoving out, and I think Ozzy can just freeze him out here. Like, it will require Hanabi to at least goad Ozzy to use some of his abilities to shove the wave in, and he actually does get it. So that's actually decent for Hanabi. He's going to be able to stay safe here for a while.
Man, it's so beautiful when you see a great, Zenith Blade totally denied by a Flay. Mm-hmm. Enzo and K2 are putting themselves very well on his bottom side.
Yeah, but none of the lanes really going that well for PSG to start things off here.
That was as expected, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult for PSG to actually snowball this game quickly, which is why I'm so interested in seeing how they play sort of a more measured late game. And once again, Hanabi, he probably has to use the Volcanic Rupture to wave clear at this point, so if Ozzy just wants to sit on him and force him to come out into River, he definitely can.
Yeah, this is going to be a little rough for the PSG top laner. Level advantage, level discrepancy. Harder to gank when the waves push that way, but, winds change maybe a little bit, and Arashi could be taking a visit up there. But it is a little bit of a quiet start for Jaya, building up leads in each of their respective lanes, or at least keeping it close on to even. And River really only making that play in the mid and not getting what they wanted there. Double flash is burned, only for Minji walking away. Kaiwing does wait in this brush, so they're going to come in for round 2. And Kaiwing's the only one involved who has a flash.
I think Minji is playing very safe here. He definitely suspects something is up.
As Zena played the turn back, is he going to be able to walk away? Not this time. First blood comes in. Secured by Kaiwing's Ignite, and Arashi forced to flash away. He was just a second or two after the rest of PSG.
Yeah, I felt like you could tell Minji definitely suspected something was there. He was playing very much on the left side, but he didn't think that there was going to be a straight-up 3v2. And with the backup of Arashi, that actually baited him to go forward. The wave situation, not very well in place for the mid lane there, but I expected Berjaya to expect something to come there. They just weren't able to avoid it completely.
Yeah, unfortunate for them. So, the focus, it seems, for PSG has been on this mid lane, trying to deny Minji as much as possible. He'll certainly have a whole lot of power for himself if he does get into those big item break points. Hex flash over the wall here as Kaiwing going on a bit of a roam. Might try to look and set up a bait on Ozzy, but looks like it's not the case. He's just going to try and clear Scuttle Crab himself.
I like how Kaiwing has not been in bot lane for like the past minute.
That's what we talked about. He doesn't live in bot lane. He's a roaming support. Might as well be the second jungler. Give this man a smite.
It's definitely the PSG style to just do this over and over again, and a very early setup for the Herald play going forward. In terms of the team fighting, we do have to give PSG the edge in terms of a straight-up front-to-back team composition, and River now hitting level 6 is going to visit Minji again.
Yeah, he's got flash, and I don't think he's getting away with this one. The kick to the side, separated from Enzo. He does try to walk away. It's a great scat of the week. I think he'll be able to walk this one out as Arashi come to the rescue. And wait a second, they go deep, and they actually turn it in, but it's going to be a trade 1-for-1 as Maple loses his life. Kaiwing now going the wrong way, and Berjaya, they get the better of this trade after all.
Yeah, just taking everything down there. Really nice by Minji to stay alive for so long. He got the initial scatter of the week, and then was able to goad PSG into a ramp going forward, and PSG just trying to pull their tempo game went way too far for it.
Yeah, Minji, he kind of baits it out really well here, and I thought he's a dead man, but he kind of just walks away from everything as he gets kicked off, and yeah, they just didn't have enough damage, and now this is going to be Berjaya with the inside track on the Rift Herald instead of PSG. All right, looks like with the secure, after the end of it all, Berjaya Dragon's definitely on, and honestly, that's about it. So thank you for bearing with us through everything.
For sure. I thought it was just cut out. Maybe we were in the eye of the storm without realizing it, but the Typhoon is still a ways off. We're going to come back to this one. And I think the big thing that happened on the map was Berjaya using their heralds into the bot side. We have talked about this a lot, but every time PSG has had trouble in the PCS, it has been because of teams just realizing that, wait a minute, you can't leave Unified alone here for multiple minutes and not expect us to go in as they find him again.
Yeah, he actually is able to disengage pretty effectively and still makes his escape. And now there's a turnaround as they go in. Zenith Blade, Solar Flare, catching onto Arashi, taken solo, but not taken down, as everyone from Berjaya Dragons show up to keep this one going.
Yeah, and Berjaya have to send the TP from the top side as Ozzy joins here, but there's nothing for him to actually take down. The plates are gone, and they're just going to do a straight swap into the top side afterwards.
Yeah, so things start to turn a little bit. This gives Hanabi a moment to just sort of breathe and farm it out. Let's take a look at how this all started again. The back did stop. Unified gets rooted, and the flash, the hook, Arashi going in. He should be dead to rights, but you talk about how good he is alone. Well, when he's got Kaiwing at his back, he can get out of a 2v3.
That was absolutely beautiful play from Unified. He waits out the crowd duration, gets the heal before the ignite goes down, and stays relatively safe. Still over 400 HP on that one. Did have to burn both summoners, but he's absolutely fine here. And we do see Berjaya now with the swap in. You know, it's been a while since we actually got to take a look at these CS scores. So just going down the line here, we do have Ozzy really getting into that point where he's going to be an absolute menace. There's no chance for Hanabi to take him down 1v1. On the flip side, we do have a little bit of a lead coming in from Unified, despite him being left alone in lane all that long. So it just goes to show you Unified things. His mechanics is just holding up PSG in their own game.
Yeah, you can see that's kind of netted him just a little bit of an edge to pick up his Divine Sunderer. Mythic got matched, of course, by Hanabi to Ozzy, but, you know, the Frostfire versus the Riftmaker. As the snipe comes in a little bit early, not going to be too much trouble there. But yeah, Hanabi's job isn't to go for the 1v run, right? He's to be that big stat stick. And so he's not big at all as he gets taken down. And the PSG just come in and try to take out Berjaya Dragons in the midst of all the crazy action. Call the Forge God stops Ozzy and Minji from getting in on anything. And Ozzy, well, he goes big, but River's just baiting him away from this one, and the rest of PSG are there. River's just playing run around and keep Ozzy down 3-0.
I can't believe Ozzy actually flashed for that one. There was no chance he was going to get someone as mobile as a Lee Sin, and that's one thing you have to do in the Death Realm is you don't want to catch people around terrain. But watch how they got this fight to go. Again, I feel like the teleport position for Hanabi was just absolutely terrific here. He cuts out the entire back line. K2 honestly just was not in this fight whatsoever, could not contribute at all. Minji was caught over a ramp, and Ozzy knows he's dead here, so he just tries to go for a cheeky kill onto River. Honestly, River doesn't even have that great of a flash, but because he's Lee Sin, he's so mobile, he's able to just get away, and that's a massive win coming in for PSG, getting 3 kills on the board in trade for that Herald.
And 2 of them go to Hanabi, so despite the fact he's been kept behind in farm, he's like, all right, we're totally fine here. And that Orin is going to be having a pretty good game from here on out, and PSG extending their gold lead. Berjaya do take a moment to take down the Ocean Dragon, so Sultime are going to get a little pushback if PSG are aiming for it this time around, but all the same, an Infernal Rift is coming up.
Oh, this is the one Drake that everyone goes for. On average, Infernal Drakes have like 6 seconds less life expectancy compared to every other Drake. Everyone just wants him dead, and they want his buffs for himself, so it's going to be a very hot contest here coming into the bottom side of the river. I do think Berjaya need to rethink how they are approaching objectives. Their team composition should not be able to win out of 5v5. That's not what their comp is built to do. They're much more of a tempo composition, so I think when they are approaching objectives, they should be thinking in terms of how to set up picks rather than placing themselves in plain view of PSG. PSG just roll in, they get to use Hanabi as a tank. There's nothing they can do.
Yeah, this is getting a little bit rough. Solar Flare they're going to land on 2, and well, River, you know, they're just kind of playing with their food a little bit here as Berjaya are not going to counter-engage on this one. Maple has gone up to the top to deal with Ozzy, and, you know, PSG kind of start to take control of things a little bit on this map, despite the laning advantages that Berjaya did have.
Very interesting play from PSG, willing to sink ultimates just to secure a vision right there. They know Berjaya don't have damage outside of Ozzy at this point, so they're willing to actually just bully them with a lot of resources spent. They don't really even care about this. It's just like, well, we'll just clear out this vision regardless. And if you look at Minji, he's been put behind so much by the early triple ganks that came through River and Kaiwing that he doesn't even have his mythic right now. The junglers have their mythic, and Minji doesn't.
Yeah, this is the focus from PSG, just trying to keep that Syndra down. And River does get caught, flayed into the box. He's going to be able to dash away. He gets Scout of the Week, and he goes back in onto Minji. That's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, though, so Minji, all things considered, not too bad. Meanwhile, Ozzy finding the rest of PSG out here as he does have Arashi at his back, and he's just such a tanky Mordekaiser, but not tanky enough. Unified pumps damage into him to take him down. With the rest of PSG, it ends up being a 2-for-1 on the map.
Yeah, it's so insane that Kaiwing's actually able to survive the Death Realm there. Pops the Locket, gets the Aftershock, and you know, Aftershock does last for quite a long time, so is able to survive the entire ordeal. But watch this again. I believe this was actually Berjaya trying to get the fight going here. Just spots out Kaiwing, and Unified comes in, so once again, Ozzy is just forced to ult the closest member here, getting caught in a bad position. And Kaiwing, I really like what he does here. Is just able to survive for so damn long.
Yeah, they don't manage to land everything on him, and by the time Hanabi and Maple come in, it's just too late for Ozzy. So, you know, laning advantages he built up really don't mean a thing at this point. Berjaya Dragon's down about 3,500 gold. And it's just looking better and better for PSG, knocking on the door to that perfect split, Clement, 20 minutes into this game.
Going forward for the 43-1 in the PCS so far.
The whole year. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's such an accomplishment to get there. They're probably cursing Megabank Beyond Gaming for taking the win earlier in spring and denying them.
That's okay. They got Doggo as a stand-in MSI for their troubles.
True. So it's an equal trade. I think this game for Brajai, the main problem is they just weren't able to get any of their mid-jungle going, despite having the stronger early game matchups here. PSG just continuously able to send Kaiwing in to mix up things and give Maple the lead in the end here. And at this point, Brajai are sort of relegated to just playing a 4-1 Aussie game, but I think it's really hard for Aussie to actually split push further. I think the best case scenario for him most of the time is just going to be a 1-for-1 trade when PSG send members to pincer him.
Yeah, it's hard to see what this team is going to do to try and get the wins, because as you mentioned, they don't really want to straight up fight the 5v5. Minji's been held so far behind that he only just completes his mythic item. The Ludens is now up, but he kind of just bought that with the gold he got in the 1-for-1. Good on Enzo, holding his back. It's the Sonic Wave flies right by him and he doesn't flinch.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a very easy game plan for PSG right now. You have the most high-value Drake Soul coming out. You have basically map control since in the top side, Minji can't really match against Maple at this point. And they can just do this play over and over again. Send members towards Aussie.
He's got absolutely no chance. The teleport, probably not necessary at all, but, go off, Maple. That's fine. So they're going to keep going for it. Enzo, caught out, Blast Cone follow. River, man, he nearly deletes the man himself. Two-shot barrage splits the uprights, but, they don't really need it. They clear out the area for the Dragon to start off. River should be able to get this solo. Kaiwing in a little bit of trouble for us to flash the wall. He's going to be perfectly fine, though, and with River soloing this, PSG, it's just wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, full map control this time. Better objective team composition. For Jaya, I just felt like they had a great team composition, but it's kind of crazy how much PSG got away with just Kaiwing leaving lane constantly. Like, he was leaving lane, he left lane twice before level 4, and he set up Herald Vision. He was under level, but it didn't really matter. He got 2 ganks into the mid lane, and somehow Unified also got a CS lead in the meantime. So,
River does wander into a lot of Brajaya Dragons, but he's fine. You talk about how this was a disengaged composition. You can see how slippery they've been, only allowing 3 kills. And oh my word! Unified's come online. What was that?
Oh, that was just craziness from Unified. Getting the Mirror Mana already online. Massive power spike for him. And, you don't expect any armor coming out from Minji's build right here, so he just goes down directly. And we're getting a 23-minute Baron.
Enzo and Arashi aren't going to let this one go freely, but I don't know what they can do about it here. Kaiwing was already blocking back of the pit, and this is happening in the full vision. Arashi could try for a crazy steal, but it's a 5v4 situation. Minji still a few seconds off cooldown. I think PSG, man, they're going to bait for the fight here as they look for the damage onto Ozzy. He tanks up quite a lot of it, but now they're splitting focus as the teleport comes in. Minji has actually blasted out this one into the Death Realm. Maple, he should go down, but no, his team tags in, and River gets the execution.
Oh, Minji, he was so close, and then we saw Maple just outplaying there with the flash, back in with the Abduct and Kingslayer to sneak back the kill. And for Jaya, despite close to stopping the Baron and getting this fight back, they lose even more members, and I feel like PSG can just run this play again. They're so far ahead at this point, and without Ozzy there to take away the smite, this is a very safe play to run.
Yeah, I love this. They control it. They don't let the Baron get within stealing range. They bait out the teleport, and they just take the fight straight up. Maple, honestly, it looked like Ozzy might be able to get the drop on Maple in this one, but he gets a little help just in time, and they keep everyone else from Brajaya Dragon's zone. Look, they just can't get involved at all.
Yeah, this is unfortunate for Ozzy. I like the idea that he had. What he was going for was thinking about taking away the smite from River, and that means Arashi can then just smite away the Baron for free without any opposition. If that happened, then Brajaya would have been able to rebound, and, early Baron gives you a lot of power, gives you a lot of tower pushing potential to move the gold back into your favor. Fortunately, that doesn't really happen. Ozzy doesn't have the flash in that fight, so he's not actually able to go across the wall. That would have made the fight very dangerous for PSG. And props to Maple, you know, he basically won that 1v1 by himself. He didn't really need the help from his teammates to secure that one.
Well, Maple doing a good job in this game. Ooh, Unified, he has just become a massive damage threat. Popping out tons, and ooh, look at that. Minji forced away as Enzo really helps him out there at the last second. Meanwhile, Ozzy, he gonna get collapsed upon here. Call the Forge God, gonna get the knockup, and they spend the Solar Flare on him. Before he gets a chance to do anything, they delete him off the face of the rift, and right back to the Baron they go.
This is so disgusting to watch. You know, you've been playing most of this game without seeing Unified. You think it's mainly an AP composition coming out from PSG because of their solo lane. So you look at the itemizations, it's Mercury Treads in the jungle. There's no armor from the top lane. And then you run into Unified and realize the mistakes that you have made. Arashi, we have seen Berjaya do this before. They could still steal this Baron.
But it's going to be a fight once again. They didn't want the Baron. They wanted Berjaya's lives. Arashi going so low will finally fall. Great abduct, or great finishing blow there as they are able to take down 3 members of Berjaya Dragons. Minji now. It is only a matter of time, my friend. You are caught between a rock and a hard place. Double kill as Unified QPs him down. They even keep the Baron aggroed. PSG just get everything.
Nothing is stopping PSG from getting their perfect split. Ozzy might get a kill here, but PSG are going to pick up the scraps.
He's really trying, and he doesn't get the kill. Unified even picking it up, and oh my goodness, PSG are cruising to the perfect split finish.
This feels like Sauron when he never got any of the rings. Like, the Fellowship is just beating him around. It's a bit of a bully situation at this point. We're going to watch that fight again. As you mentioned, PSG, they know the risks of giving over an early Baron, and they're just using this continuously to engage over the wall. And the crazy thing to me is that even the Chains of Corruption from K2 was so well placed. PSG still have the chase potential. They still have the raw power to just brute force themselves. Basically a 4v2. That's
and Maple,
how strong they are fighting at this point, while the rest of the members turn back and do Baron.
Now that's just the emote wars. Yeah, honestly, it's beautiful when you watch PSG team fighting. I swear Maple gets like at least a couple pixels more of his Silas chain there. That was something else. 27.5 minutes. They are looking to close this one down. And yeah, Ozzy definitely looking a little less like Sauron and a little more, well, like a tin can. He is just dropping so fast here. Does get saved and bailed out by Enzo, but unfortunately, it means that Arashi is going to get taken down in similar fashion, and PSG are just wrecking balling their way down this bot lane with the Baron buff on. All 5 members, excuse me, make that 4 because Maple's splitting in the top, and I don't think there is anything stopping this team from getting the perfect split now.
They have that in their eyes. They're going to go for it. But we have seen in their game versus Boom Esports that when they get excited, when they go for that killing blow, sometimes you can get something back from them. And Ozzy's going to try again.
He certainly will. Looking to hunt down River at this point. He's just trying to 2-step him. The team tags their way in, and it was all a bait after all. Maple, he's in deep, but this team is able to get there. He goes golden. Doesn't even really need to at this point, and it just looks so clinical.
Can K2 pull off the Wako play? That's the one I was talking about, where Wako got a triple piercing arrow into a double kill to save the team. Berjaya, though, they definitely are on the ropes. Here we go.
I don't know if they're going to get the chance to pull off that hero play. Nexus turret's already falling. Not much Arashi and K2 can do because PSG go 18-0 for the perfect split.
Congratulations to PSG. They have achieved what has never been done before in the PCS. A split without a single loss. In springtime, they did have Beyond giving them a hiccup, but this time around, they are going to secure it for sure. This is, you can tell across their faces, they're very pleased about what they've accomplished. Hanabi feeling great about that game. Kaiwing feeling relieved, and Maple just with all smiles across the board. Even Unified smiling. This is something I haven't seen before.
Yeah, no, that's a new one for me. Really just impressive performance from this team across the split. They had a couple of close calls, but they get everything. They lock up playoffs so early on. They get that first place. No one can touch them. And here, they just put the icing on the cake. What a beautiful split it's been for PSG. I cannot wait to see what this team does in playoffs.
Yeah, and with that also secures them very close to getting into Worlds as well. Just a reminder, we are sending our number 1 seed into it, and just the summer finals into it, and then a 2nd seed as well into the play-in. So they're still going to be keeping their eyes on just getting there as well, but they're not going to get it right away. They do get a bye secured here, and of course a perfect split in the book so far. Talking a little bit about the game itself, though, I felt like this was a game where we really see the strengths of PSG and how just kind of unscientific their game plan is. This is a game where you saw Unified basically be by himself the entire game, and somehow he gets a CS lead. He gets to 2 items first. And,
they get away with it. I don't know if they should, but they do. I think that may change internationally, but PSG, they just seem to operate on a different level, on a different playing field than a lot of their competition. Very few teams are really able to take them to task for it.
True. And I feel like we will see them have to shift this up. This is like a hidden worry for me in PSG. I don't think the way they play in the PCS is indicative of the way they can play in internationals. Like, if you do this against an LPL team, I think Doinby and Tien are going to be right on your door, and they're going to be underneath your tower 24/7. Like, there's no way Unified gets away with that. But in the PCS, they're gonna have to. This goes.
Hey, if it works here, it works here. But they're looking ahead to playoffs. They have that bye. They'd already long secured it, but this team definitely able to get away with some things. We'll see if they tighten it up, maybe using the playoffs to really try and stretch themselves a little bit more to the limit. I am curious because, this is a team that has so many weapons, so many players on the squad can really step up and pull off incredible games. I mean, a lot of teams we talk about having like maybe 3-4 really big weapons, but it is honestly, I think PSG, 5 members. Even Kaiwing has these crazy standout games. This time Unified pumped in a lot of damage. Honestly, he's my contender for MVP because he stayed alone. He barely ever died, and he was able to just fire down so many members of Berjaya after that laning phase concluded.
PSG, they take a late game composition and they make it look like an early game one. I think that's the main thing we got away from this game. Kai being able
accelerated
to
gameplay.
Yeah, it's just so crazy. And I love the fact that you talk about 5 people being able to carry in the early Herald fight as well. I feel like Hanabi did such a good job just zoning away the enemy composition. K2 didn't get to contribute whatsoever, and that's just the strength about PSG. The level of international experience they have, I think, is enough to just crush any of the opposition that they have domestically. And of course, no surprises, we do have Unit 5 with the 6-0-6, getting the perfect KDA, making the Galaxy explode because you can't divide by 0, and winning the MVP for himself.
Yeah, I mean, he just made that Ezreal look like just such a deep threat, right? He was able to chip health bars so many times, which is True Shot Barrage on cooldown. And he basically just started getting solo kills. I mean, it's just something we don't see a lot with AD carries, but he was so safe, so constantly, never actually dropped to death, was alone constantly in the lane. I mean, Unified is he's a player that's on another level and every bit deserved for that MVP.
For sure, just great gameplay by him. Though PSG, I think they did reveal their hand a little bit by banning away the Draven and the Zig. So you can see that they're very well aware of the sole weakness that the way they play is just getting that bot lane shove in. So I hope some teams can put a challenge to them in the postseason, or else they might go on another 9-0 sprint that we have seen in spring.
We'll have to find out, but we are going on a quick cooldown, but don't go anywhere. When we return, Boom takes on Machi.